There are moments that break even the toughest people.
Yes, there were shrines used for rituals. There's bloody places. There's parts where there's limbs. People cut off limbs and want you to have sex. There's blood. There's blood that I don't even know who it belongs to. There's a lot.
That is a real woman describing real things that she says were done to her as a child.
Those are assault parties, and I was one of the kids that was one of the party favors. And a party favors means that you're set on top of a table and you're used as a toy.
And for years, the world looked her dead in the face and called her crazy.
You said you don't tell on these people. Is that like a code that all victims adhere to? They don't talk about this stuff?
Yes, you don't, because nobody's gonna believe you. You're nothing to them. You don't count. You're just a toy. You're not essential, as they call them. You're expendable.
But here's what nobody is connecting right now. Katt Williams heard all of it. Every single word. And what happened next, what he said, what he confirmed, and the moment people say broke him emotionally, that is what this video is about. Stay with me, because this one goes deep. Let's start at the beginning, because to understand why Katt Williams reacting to Ally Carter's story hit the internet the way it did, you have to understand exactly who Ally Carter is and why her story is so important right now. Her name is Ally Carter, and she says she barely made it out alive. This is not a celebrity. This is not a politician. This is not someone with a PR team or a media strategy or a publicist returning phone calls. Ally Carter is a regular woman from California who first went public in November of 2020, posting raw, unfiltered, unedited videos on social media, describing things so dark, so specific, and so disturbing that most people who stumbled across them genuinely could not process what they were hearing. She wasn't reading from a script, she wasn't performing, she was sitting in front of a camera, often visibly shaking, and describing a world that most of us will never have to confront. A world of elite parties, private islands, underground tunnels, rituals, children being used as what she called, in her own words, party favors.
I was in the care of Riverside County Child Protective Services at the time. I was 15, barely 16. 15, 16. It's foggy. A lot happened that night, and I went really numb. And if there's videos or if there's anything that could go from that, then pull them. Because we all know that there's so many cameras around. So I can try to post the affidavits and I can put out what happened, but at the same time, what am I supposed to do? When nobody's really asking about the kids that are present in these parties now and were then, because they're really just going after all the celebrities and the adults, which I'm happy that we're finally here, and I'm grateful that we're finally pulling the names that need to be pulled and the big fishes that need to be pulled.
15 years old, in the custody of the state of California, the agency that was legally responsible for her protection. And according to Ally, that is precisely how she ended up there. This is not a small claim. She is saying that the system designed to protect vulnerable children was the very pipeline that delivered her into the hands of the people who hurt her. She says Riverside County CPS was directly and knowingly involved in routing children, including herself, into trafficking networks. She says she gathered evidence for 8 months. She brought it to authorities. She was ignored completely. Her case was buried. And then she did what very few survivors ever do. She went public anyway. She described what she called the party favor effect, where children at these elite gatherings were not guests, were not brought along innocently. They were placed on tables, literally placed on tables, and rotated. Used by one person, returned to the table, and chosen again by someone else.
Then they put you back on the table.
They put you back on the table for somebody else to come choose you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's called a party favor effect. That's just one of the little things that go on at the freak-off parties with children.
One of the little things. She said that, one of the little things, because in the world she's describing, that was just the beginning. Now, when Allie first started posting in 2020, the reaction from the internet was almost universally dismissive. People called her unstable, they called her delusional. Some content creators built entire channels dedicated to tearing her apart, tracking down her old videos, digging into her past, using her trauma as content while simultaneously mocking her for having it.
And I allowed them to believe I was in touch with Allie Carter, and she said she was in trouble and she needed my help. And the second that I did that, 8 different content creators instantly went to work, tearing Allie Carter apart.
8 different creators. Immediately, the moment someone suggested she needed help, the machine mobilized to destroy her credibility before anyone could take her seriously. Why would that happen? Think about that for a second. She's a woman with no money, no platform infrastructure, no famous last name. Why does she warrant that kind of coordinated response? That question matters, and we're going to come back to it. Because here's what changed everything. September 2024. Diddy gets arrested, and suddenly, every single thing Allie Carter had been saying for 4 years started making a different kind of sense. Let's talk about what Allie Carter actually claimed, because the details matter more than people realize. She said she was trafficked through underground tunnels, not metaphorically, physically. Tunnels that she says connect locations in Los Angeles that no one would ever look twice at, under schools, under cemeteries, under amusement parks.
Been trafficked through many elite places. I went from the Buckingham Palace to under the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, still under the custody of Child Protective Services, the child welfare system. And everybody is so worried about the elite, and we could give those names of Barack Obama, Joe Biden. I was trafficked to people within my schools. I was trafficked in underground tunnels that link under your schools, through your cemeteries, under your amusement parks, through Universal Studios, and into Hollywood elite homes, all over the place.
Containers with his shipment of that were in there that didn't speak English. There were kids that were sick and that were already dying. There were babies that were 6 years old, and I'll never forget them just crying, and everybody was just staring at them. Everybody was just staring at each other. Nobody knew whether or not to move.
6 years old, crying in a container, while everyone stared and nobody moved because nobody knew whether moving was safe. She says she ended up at parties, elite gatherings attended by people whose faces you would recognize, people whose names are printed on award show programs and plastered across magazine covers. She named names. She described locations. She gave physical details, birthmarks, specific behaviors, things that a person does not simply fabricate in a moment of seeking attention. She named Diddy. She named Jay-Z, she named Beyonce, she named Oprah, she named Joe Biden and Barack Obama, she named Denzel Washington, Birdman, Young Jock, Katy Perry. Now, to be absolutely clear, these are allegations, claims made by one person. None of these individuals have been charged or convicted of anything related to what Allie describes. But here is what makes people stop scrolling and start paying attention: the specificity.
Diddy was at this party? Denzel Washington was at this party?
Yep.
Birdman was at this party?
Yes, he was.
And Young Jock?
Yep.
And you're telling me Denzel was there and it was after 1 o'clock when he supposedly left?
And beanie socks and a gold chain.
So you're telling me Denzel Washington was butt naked?
A beanie, socks, a gold chain. That is not the kind of detail someone invents for shock value. That is the kind of detail that sticks in a traumatized memory because it was so absurd, so wrong, so out of place that your brain locked onto it and never let go. She also submitted a sworn legal affidavit, not a social media post, not a comment section rant, a sworn statement with her signature on it, with specific names, with specific acts described. The affidavit read in part, and I'm referencing what is publicly reported from it, that victims were literally set on a table and had to wait for people to come choose them for acts. Once they were done, they were placed back on the party favor table. Someone else could then pick them. And some of what she described in that document is too graphic to repeat here, but it lines up in disturbing, specific, and undeniable ways with what eventually came out in the Epstein documents. She was saying all of this in 2020. The Epstein files didn't start dropping publicly until years later. She wasn't reacting to news. She was ahead of it.
Children under your feet, there are children in your face. You walk past a survivor and you interacted with a trafficker today. Do you understand the world and the war that we are in, that everybody keeps going back and, oh no, it's not true, and oops, wait a minute, did Jay-Z, is Jay-Z on the news? Is he Rock Nation? Are you kidding me? I liked him. Same thing you said about Diddy. Same thing you'll say about the Beehive. It's the same thing you'll say about Ellen DeGeneres. It's the same thing you'll say about Oprah. What will probably throw you is when you find out that it's the same thing you're going to say about your teachers in your schools.
And then she lost everything. Her family lost their home, their animals were killed, they were followed across 8 states, pulled over without cause, asked where they were parked, how long they'd be out, how much money they had.
There is a secret society in the Freemason cops as well. We are not safe. We have been threatened, harassed, stalked, and hunted down because I mentioned that I was trafficked under the Getty Museum. I have so much evidence. I have so much information, but I don't know who to give it to, and I don't know who to honestly talk to because there's nothing that have come of it. I don't know if Trump is going to do something, because that's the only reason why I do have something to believe in Trump, because he has given money organizations, but 501c3s are cover-ups too. So what exactly and where exactly is this money going, and is there any really help? Because there's not. While we're out here, we have been.
And she kept talking anyway. That alone should tell you everything about what she believes is at stake. Now, here's where the story shifts into a completely different gear, because Allie Carter was not alone in what she was saying, and the person who stepped forward to stand beside her story, publicly, vocally, and at an enormous risk, was someone nobody expected: Katt Williams. If you've been paying attention to Katt over the last few years, you know he has been on what can only be described as a truth campaign. He's been doing interviews, podcasts, press runs, and nearly every single one of them, he keeps circling back to the same territory: the industry, what it really asks of people, what it really costs, and what is really happening behind the closed doors that the rest of us never get to open. And when the Epstein files started dropping and the Diddy arrest happened, when the cultural conversations started catching up to things that people like Allie Carter had been saying for years, Katt Williams was one of the first major voices to step up and say, she's not crazy. She never was.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't gonna wear no dress until... No. Oh, no. So they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you? It's okay.
That clip matters more than people realize, because Katt Williams has been consistent about one thing for over a decade. There is a specific kind of price that the industry extracts from people who want to succeed in it. And that price is not just financial. It is psychological, it is spiritual. It involves submission to rituals, to symbols, to acts of degradation that are dressed up as artistic freedom or personal choice, but are actually mechanisms of control. He said it on Joe Rogan, he said it in interviews, he kept saying it even when the press turned on him, even when he became the punchline of jokes, even when people used his personal struggles to dismiss everything coming out of his mouth.
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. But now, it's not necessary for us to stir up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung 1,000,000 times. I didn't understand that. They had to sting me 1,000,000 times. I'm still not going to join, but I respect it a little more.
a million stings, and he still did not join. Think about what that implies about what joining would have required. Now here is where Katt's story and Allie's story collide, and collide hard. People online began piecing together the overlap between what Katt had been saying for years and what Allie had been saying for years. The rituals, the industry's relationship with occult imagery and practice, the specific names, the specific locations, the specific dynamic between powerful people and the people they exploit. And then came the moment that sent the internet into a full spiral. Reports and viral clips began circulating of Katt Williams' reaction upon learning the full details, not the summarized version, not the watered-down version, but the complete, documented, sworn testimony of what Allie said was done to her as a child, at those parties, on that island. The reaction people described from Katt was not anger, it was not outrage in the sharp, punchy way people expected from him, it was grief. It was the kind of response that comes from someone who has been saying something is real for years, and then being confronted with exactly how real it was. And that hit differently because Katt Williams is not a man who cries easily in public. He's not someone who performs emotion for cameras. When something breaks through that wall, it's because what he encountered was genuinely shattering. Let's zoom out and talk about the Epstein Island connection directly, because this is the thread that ties everything together. Allie Carter has made repeated, consistent claims across multiple years that she was trafficked to a private island, not metaphorically, physically, a location used by some of the most powerful and most protected people on the planet, where everything that happened stayed hidden because the people involved had enough money, enough influence, and enough reach inside law enforcement and government to ensure it stayed buried. She said that before the arrests, before the fires, before the distractions, and then her animals were killed. Her home was taken. She was surveilled across 8 states without cause. And then, right before she was scheduled to appear and testify in proceedings connected to the Diddy case, she disappeared. Not quietly, not without warning. She put out a video first. She said her life was in danger. She said she was being hunted. And then, according to what has been reported, federal authorities placed her in witness protection. Read that again. Witness protection. That is not something that happens to people whose claims are baseless. That does not happen to conspiracy theorists. The federal government does not spend resources protecting someone whose testimony holds no weight. They moved her because what she knows, what she can testify to, is dangerous to people who are very powerful and very motivated to stay free.
You get pressured, attacked, stalked, and hunted down for your own information. You get abused and re-victimized again by people who wanted to argue a back and forth this week like that f***ing mattered. Okay, you had Stu Peters and Timothy Charles Homestead going back and forth, and nobody has even bothered. Not that I give a damn, and not that I understand that you guys are gonna be that selfish, but nobody has bothered to apologize for all the hell that has happened. But you guys were arguing back and forth, and in that meantime, we lost our home. You don't believe me? Here you go. What once was a full house, we were still paying rent on our house. What we were doing this whole time was moving everything because our house is gone. Our house is gone. This is the speaking out. What was our beautiful 3-bedroom acre home on 21225 Standing Rock Avenue, because everybody has the address, because organizations that were attached to Marx, Sawyer, and many other organizations decided to put out the address, my license plate to one of my cars, and many other of my. So here you go. You can have it, right? Because this is what happens when you speak out. This is what happens when you tell all the truth. This is what happens when you decided to stand up for the children, and when you understand that survivors don't just get to do a seminar, and when you understand that survivors don't just get to just be and then show up somewhere and talk and monetize everything that they're saying. When you realize that that's bullshit, then you will understand. Look at the tactics and pay attention. Pay attention. I'm still not asking you for a damn thing but to wake up. I'm not asking you for a damn thing, but just to get outside. I don't give a damn about money, numbers on my platforms. You can have all of it. You took everything. The only thing that I give a shit about right now is the fact that there is a baby in the way. There's babies in the way. There are people that I love that I can't get out of the way. What am I supposed to do when the people in the authority that you're supposed to go to, you can't go to?
Katt Williams understood exactly what that meant because he had lived a version of it. The stings, the press turning, the deliberate campaign to make people dismiss what he was saying before they could actually think about it. The same playbook. Used on Allie, used on him, used on anyone who gets too close to the truth about how this system operates. Katt Williams has been for many people the unlikely but undeniable voice that started connecting these dots publicly in a way mainstream media refused to do. He talked about the industry demanding submission. He talked about the occult ceremonies tied to advancement in entertainment. He talked about what it costs to challenge power structures at that level. He described getting stung 1,000,000 times and still refusing to comply. And through all of it, he pointed, sometimes directly, sometimes obliquely, at the same names, the same locations, the same ecosystem that Allie Carter described from the inside. What is reported to have broken Katt, what allegedly brought tears, was not learning that these things happened in the abstract. He already knew that. It was the specific details of what was done to Allie Carter as a child. The party favor table, the rituals, the island, the fact that a little girl had been moved through tunnels, through containers, past dying children, past babies crying in the dark, and handed off to powerful men who saw her as a toy, and that the world had spent 4 years calling her crazy for saying so. For someone who's been fighting to make people understand that this industry is not what it appears to be, who is paid personally for every word of truth he has spoken, being confronted with Allie's full story is not just sad, it is a confirmation of the worst version of everything he's been warning people about. He respected it more because he came to understand its full depth and its full reach. And part of that depth, a significant part of it, is what was done to children like Allie Carter, who never had the option of choosing to join or not join. They were just placed on a table and told to wait. The corroboration Katt lent to Allie's account matters beyond the emotional weight of the moment. It matters because Katt Williams is an insider. He is someone who has been in rooms, who has been made offers, who understands how the machine works from the perspective of someone who was recruited into it and refused its full terms. His willingness to publicly validate what Allie described carries weight that an outside commentator simply cannot carry. And the people who tried to bury Allie's story know that, which is why, according to those who track these things closely, the same machinery that came for her has been pointed at him more than once. Let's be honest about what we are actually looking at here, because this is not a celebrity gossip story. This is a story about a system. One man does not build what Epstein built. One man does not maintain what Diddy maintained for 30 years in one of the most heavily publicized industries on the planet. These are not lone predators. They are nodes in a network. And that network has structure. It has hierarchy. It has funding. It has protection built in at the legal level, the law enforcement level, the media level, and the government level. Your schools, your doctors, the people you hand your children to every single day, trusting that the system around them is designed to keep them safe. 30,000 or more foster children go missing in the United States every single year. 60% of them, according to reporting on the subject, are absorbed into trafficking networks. 60%. That is not a statistic that happens without infrastructure, without roots, without people inside protective systems who are either complicit or too afraid to speak. Allie Carter was one of those 30,000. She came back, she talked, and the system tried everything in its power to make sure nobody listened. Now think about what it means that she said this in 2020, and that in the years since, multiple investigations, multiple civil suits, multiple federal cases have all touched on the same fundamental truth, that powerful networks of people were using institutions, systems, and positions of authority to exploit the most vulnerable children imaginable. The island was real. The network was real. The rituals Allie described, the ones that got her called the most unhinged person on the internet, corroborated by Epstein's own documented correspondence, by MIA's public statements, by everything Katt Williams has been saying, at the cost of his own public reputation. This was never just about one man on an island. It was always about all of them, together. So where does this leave us? Allie Carter is still out here, still talking, reportedly under federal protection. She never asked for money, she never wrote a book, she never landed a Netflix deal. She just kept showing up, raw, traumatized, specific, and insistent for years, while the world told her she was nothing. Katt Williams kept talking too, at the cost of a million stings, refusing to put on the dress, refusing to sign off on the version of events that powerful people wanted the public to believe. There are babies in the way. That is what Allie Carter is thinking about. Not her reputation, not her follower count, not whether Denzel Washington's lawyers are going to send something to her inbox. She is thinking about children who are in those containers right now, kids who are crying in the dark right now, party favors who are being placed on tables right now while powerful people with famous faces look the other way. Katt Williams cried because he understood what that means, because he has been trying to pull people toward this truth for years and watching them look away. And now, with the arrests, with the documents, with the files, with the corroboration stacking up from multiple directions, looking away is getting harder to do. The question is not whether you believe every single detail. The question is whether you are willing to ask why a woman with nothing to gain kept screaming into the void for 4 years and lost everything for doing it. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And if this video hit different, if you felt something watching this, share it. Because that is what Allie Carter asked for from day one. Not money, not fame, just people willing to wake up. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.